Um, all right, awesome. So welcome. Today's goal is to share with all of you some key takeaways I had from a recent event in Dallas. Real put on a pilot event with 175 real agents, and it was absolutely amazing and mind-blowing. So here are a few pictures with some incredible real agents. Casey McCown on the bottom left, Diane Needle, who's on this call. She's out of the Massachusetts market, has an incredible group called the Needle Group. Hannah, the property geek, if you follow her on Instagram, she's absolutely hilarious. And then Eric Hatch in the bottom right, who was a big influence for getting this pilot event kicked off. He's also an incredible coach and agent at Real. So in the middle, we have our Sharon, who I just have so many amazing feelings for. And what I'm mainly recapping is the first day of this event. Sharon did about an 8-hour keynote on the attraction process and some of his key takeaways from the 3,700 attraction calls he was a part of in 2024. So just let that sink in. He is here to serve us. It is an incredible thing that we have in Sharon. My number one takeaway, and something that I will continue to echo throughout this, 80% of real agents don't participate in rev share. That kind of blew my mind. So a couple things to know. You don't have to have a sponsor when you join Real, and you don't have to participate in rev share. I'm going to get a little bit into my mindset when I join Real. That kind of echoes this sentiment. But what this really means to me is there's so much more at Real than just rev share. And I think we often think about our agent growth and attraction as we got to talk about rev share. We're definitely going to hit on that, but there is so much more at this company that I am just so excited to share. So if that all sounds good, if you're ready for 45 minutes, action-packed, very skimming the top, but here's my promise to you. If anyone wants to go deeper on any of this, let's get a meeting. I literally love this stuff. And so I need to get better at it. And the only way I'm going to get better at it is by presenting it and helping you so you can also help me. So just raise your hand real quick if that sounds good and you're ready to get started. Awesome. Awesome. All right. So I am going to jump right in. Most of you know me, but for those who don't, Chris Davis, I lead an incredible team here in Maine called Places in Maine. My father, who is also on this call, is on my team, as well as Alex Hoyt, who's on vacation, and we have a great admin named Courtney. We have been in the top 25 through multiple categories of the U.S. small teams in multiple quarters, which is something I'm incredibly proud of. I've been an elite agent here at Real 3 times in a row, and I joined Real in April of 2022. Currently, I have 56 agents in my network. I share that with you. That's no brag. The folks at this event in Dallas had hundreds and thousands, but it's also to say to you, here's my promise. By the end of this year, my goal is to have 250 agents in my total agent network. And what I'm about to go over is going to help all of you decide what your goal is going to be, hopefully by the end of the call, and some key steps to help you grow and help all of us grow as one Real. Little bit of a disclaimer here. This is all about my experience in Dallas, what I learned and what I remember. So that's a key thing right there, right? And this is designed just to be for our education and for our feedback. I'm going to record this so we can always go back to it. But I just want you to know Real does not endorse this presentation. I hope everything I'm saying is in line with the One Real method. But it's in the spirit of collaboration because not one of us is as smart as all of us. And if we can all grow together, Real will continue to be the fastest growing real estate company. So this is Chris Davis before Dallas. He's sitting alone at a coffee shop. He's probably DMing or liking something on Instagram, having a smoothie. And for sake of exercise, this was my mindset when I thought about attraction before this event in Dallas. So I mainly grew my network organically through Instagram. People would see either my postings about sales, my videos on becoming an elite agent, or just general lifestyle stuff that interested them and they wanted to learn more. I was able to grow my network that way. My main focus when I started at Real was I just want to sell homes. Attraction thing is cool, icing on the cake, but I want to sell homes. I didn't want to be a recruiter. And I think there's a stigma around that because other companies are. Just yesterday, I got a text from a recruiter at Coldwell Banker that said, hey, we have a proprietary listing media kit that helps promote your listings on social media. And I was just like, yeah, anyone with a quality CRM has that as well. Lofty can do that for us. And I'm also pretty good at posting. So I don't want to be those people who are just texting to try to get a cold meeting. I've always wanted to be the people who gets an invite to a conversation and see where it leads. Also, part of my mindset was, let's keep this good thing going. Kind of a secret, it's in Maine. We're still less than 100 agents. I think we have a really solid group. And there's a little bit of fear of like, I don't want to get too big because I don't want to lose what we have and what we've built. And 5, Chris Davis before Dallas would always get giddy when Sharon would share his stories. So all to say, I was a little timid about attraction, and I certainly was not intentional about it. And boy, did Texas change me. And here's a quote that really helped summarize where I'm at. And this is from Charlie Brown. Sharon put it up on one of his slides. It's not where you go in life, it's who you travel with. And if I could give one piece of advice to everyone watching right now, if you have the opportunity to travel outside your network to an industry event, and for our real agents, if you can go to Rise in November or any other regional event, Diane threw one at Trillium Brew about a year ago, it can absolutely change your focus. It can change your energy. And most importantly, it exposes you to the culture here at Real, which I think is amazing. So my number one takeaway is nothing is secret. Everyone at Real works in service of each other. One of the best parts about the event in Dallas was on day 2, we sat in small groups. Each group had a growth leader. A growth leader is someone at Real who has a substantially large network. And we just workshopped. How do we get the conversation? How do we get the meeting? How do we prospect? And having those very micro conversations with some really influential people, one, taught me that the playing field is totally level with everyone at Real. No one is out of reach, including Sharon and Tamir. Everyone is working in service of each other to grow. And that's what makes Real incredibly special. We don't have silos. You don't join one little group and not network outside of it. We are all here together. And I think it's exemplified in this attendance today. So there was my number one takeaway. We are going to get through all 10, but they won't be as long as this, I promise. How's everyone doing so far? Awesome. Sweet. Okay. I showed my wife these slides this morning and she's like, that line doesn't make sense. Well, I want to frame the rest of the meeting as if we are thinking about attraction in a lead gen perspective. So we need to target some agents, we need to have meetings, and we need to take the next steps to figure out if Real is the best fit for them. Ryan Zook out of Maryland, who is a great agent with Real, gave me this great quote: coffee is mutual respect. And what he meant by that is we're not just cold calling or cold texting people trying to get a meeting, but we are nurturing a group of agents that at some point we have earned the right to ask for coffee. Coffee is mutual respect. If they say yes, a conversation can happen. So when we think about targeting agents in a lead generation way, here are some great tips for you. 1, follow up with agents you just did a deal with. So you've just had maybe a 30, 45-day relationship with this person over email, over text, over phone, getting to a common goal of the closing table. If you enjoyed working with that person, it might be a great opportunity to be like, hey, I'd love to sit down and have coffee with you and talk about your career and, collaborate. Nothing wrong with that. That's a really great thing. Collaboration always wins. Once you get people in your network, you can engage with them on Instagram. So I do a lot of liking, a lot of DMing, a lot of compliments. These can go a long way for people to be like, oh, I didn't know he knew me, or I didn't know she was looking at my content. We're starting to just build. It also supports the algorithm, and your content will then be out in front of them a bit more. So if you look at my Instagram page, I'm doing a lot more content about Real, just trying to educate people and be out in front. So on the back end, Chris Davis is working to engage with more folks so we can see that. This is one thing I'm not doing yet, but post Dallas, I've made the choice to, is put these agents in your CRM. Treat them just like a client or a prospect. One thing that Bob Tompkins does, who's a great agent out of South Carolina, he has a large network and he has a very funny comedy Instagram. He just uses his notes. He has 15 agents on it. 5 are kind of his hottest prospect. Then he has another 10. And on Monday each week, he's just trying to move through that list to get each one to a meeting. And then has the meeting. If it goes great, goes great. If it doesn't, he just says, cool, why don't we follow up in about 6 months? He takes them off the list and makes room for one more. So that's one thing I've started doing on my notes, because that's an area where I like to, I always have my phone with me and it's easy to keep going. Once you get to that point of inviting them for a coffee or a Zoom, this might be the biggest takeaway. I'm going to probably keep saying that, but like, make the initial ask. Have you thought about Real? One thing Sharon talked a lot about was just remove the tension for them and remove the tension for you. You're not necessarily pitching them, but you're providing the opportunity to talk about it. I think in some cases people are like, I was wondering when you were going to talk to me about Real, right? Or I was wondering when you were going to ask me for coffee. If they say, no, I'm really happy where I'm at, great. You've just invited someone to coffee that you can still learn and collaborate from. So like, let this be the first stage, the primer for how we're going to try and get the meeting. Now, if we get that meeting, I want to break down the discovery call that will really help you take notes during that meeting. So to wrap up the coffee is mutual respect, takeaway number 2, to be successful, this has to be a part of your routine every day, just like getting new clients, just like selling houses. Now, why do I truly feel like that? Because the financial opportunity we have is incredible, and I don't want anyone to miss out on that, especially folks like you who I know and love so much. All right, so I want you to envision Sharran's teaching you something. He has his iPad, he has his pen, he's drawing in different colors. We're all just staring there like, this guy's amazing. He's fully engaged. I'm not going to do that. I want to do that. I do have my iPad over here and I have my pen. And today at 1 o'clock, Drew from Real and Real Academy is doing a Real Connect. And I think he might go over some of those steps and or release a class on how to present like Sharran. But in the meantime, I just used Canva and a little Chat GPT, and I want to show you the discovery call framework. So for visualization, you're sitting down across from an agent who you have a great relationship with, or maybe you're on Zoom. I want you to draw these 4 boxes, and this is where you are going to take the notes that are going to help you and that agent decide if Real is great for them. So to frame this out, Sharran is so great about having little phrases or words that can just diffuse the situation, release tension, and create more camaraderie in a conversation. So once you sit down with this person, just like I did with this call, start with a note on the schedule to respect their time. Hey, I'd love to sit down with you until the bottom of the hour, quarter of, whatever it might be. We all want to avoid them like constantly looking at their phone, right? To like, when's this going to end? We're all so busy. We have so much to do. We have so many listings to go after. So just give them that respect of that time frame. This question I love, and I've used it twice since coming home and talking with agents. Is it okay if I ask you like 1,000 easy questions? And I think that's just a great way. 1, it always gets a smile. And 2, it's like, oh, if the questions are easy, this conversation is going to be easy, right? And whether you do ask 1,000 or not, it doesn't matter. You've just brought a little humanity into the conversation. And number 3, give them the gift of going second. So you don't know what they're going through. You don't know if they're nervous about this call. You don't know if maybe they just had a blow up with their current broker, or you know what, maybe they just got a promotion or a raise within their brokerage, but give them the gift of going second. They joked at the event that EXP gives Real the gift of going second. So we've got to learn from folks who were there and what we've now built. So in the same regard of talking with agents in these meetings, start out like, whatever it might be works for you. I like this. This was a Sharran example. I got into real estate by accident. How did you get your start? Right? You've already shared with them how you got there, and then they just have to respond. From that, a conversation is going to start, and there are some key notes that we want to make sure that you take. So in these 4 boxes in the upper left, we have team and ops. This is going to be, what's their team structure? Do they have TC? Do they have a marketing manager? Is it just them? Are they solo? In the upper right, past, present, and future. Where did that agent come from? What are they doing right now? And where do they want to go in the future? Now, there's no order to these boxes and when they get filled in, but hopefully throughout this conversation, you're going to train yourself to figure out ways to get these boxes filled out. The bottom left is the business model, and the bottom right are the stats. So how many houses did they sell? Maybe what's the breakdown of listings and buyers, because maybe that's an area they want to improve. So again, I know I'm going super fast, but in this first meeting, we're going to have it be the discovery call. This is one way to organize your notes. And if you're sitting down in front of them, I think they would really appreciate seeing all this. They might say, what is all this? And it's like, I just want to make sure I have all the information so I can help you make the best decision. That's awesome. In the middle, I just have my friend, David Driscoll. He's from Mass. I'm meeting with him in March. So let that be the agent at hand. Okay. How does this all look from a sense of how we take notes? Pretty good. Okay, sweet. Now let's fill it out. So to spare you the fake conversation I'm going to have with myself, Sharran actually did this on stage with an agent, and it was really great. It was really real, and it wasn't staged. But throughout the conversation, if I just go left to right, top to bottom, they might have 3 agents on their team. They might have an admin who answers phone calls, enters in their transactions. And maybe at some point the team lead said, you know what, I'm really struggling with training my agents. I'd really like that to improve, or I need to find more time or resources to do that. Hence the red circle around the presenter. Past, present, and future. Maybe they were a bartender. They met a real estate agent at the bar. That's how they got into it. They currently sell 100 homes and they want to grow their team to sell 500 homes in a year. Great. Now I have something. I have a direction. Now I can help them imagine how to get there. In the business model, it might be a 75-25 split on a 15K cap. Now, the key here that Sharran really stressed is try to get all the information on the business model. He said more often than not, you might find out 3 calls later, oh yeah, I pay a 6% franchise fee on every transaction. Like, bro, that is a huge amount of money. I can't really do a side-by-side comparison if I don't have all the information. So people don't always think about all those things. Sometimes they say, oh, I'm 100%. There's probably more that you're paying. We just want to try to get as much information as we can because that's really going to help us with these next steps. And in the bottom right in the stats, they currently sell 100 homes. 73% of them are listings, 27 are buyers, and maybe they'd like to reverse that. That again is just giving us information about where they can go.
Chris, can I add something? It's Diane.
Yeah.
So first of all, the graphics are amazing. The little bartender with the shaker, my absolute favorite little graphic you've got. So kudos to the graphics. You know, I to your point and to Sharran's point of agents don't know what they pay their brokers. Like that for me, I actually sat down with somebody and had coffee and I asked them, you know, it came up, the conversation was naturally went to splits and whatnot. And she told me the split. And when I asked, are there any other do you have an office fee or anything like that? And she's like, I don't think so. I don't know. Yeah. And like, now I knew the model she was at. So I knew, but I didn't tell her that, right? I don't want to tell her, well, you know, you do, you know? So Sharran gave the suggestion of asking, you know, if someone doesn't really know, they can ask, you know, if you really want me to do a side-by-side comparison, if you don't mind, shoot me over a picture of your last commission statement. And I can see if there's anything additional in there you should know about. And so, because I really want to give you accurate numbers. So I just want to share that. Yeah.
Thank you. That is such a great point. Yeah. Getting that CDA or something so we can actually look at it is huge. Thank you, Diane. And thank you for chiming in. Again, chime in at any time, guys. This is fun. I love creating these graphics. I learned a lot with Canva. My wife was like, stop spending so much time building a template. Canva does it for you. I have so many new things I learned in the last 24 hours doing this. So I'm really excited. So when we have this discovery call, we've learned all this information. My takeaway here mainly is that no call or meeting goes the same, but you need the same information. So whatever format works for you, getting these 4 boxes in some arrangement is going to be extremely important to the success of your attraction calls and your meetings. So just using the example of the business model and my 4th takeaway, the information from the discovery call framework is what gets you the next meeting. Now, this is where everyone in Dallas's heads just went like, Sharran was like, I want to introduce Bam Fam. And we're all like, what's Bam Fam? And he's like, book a meeting from a meeting. We're like, man, this guy has all the answers, all the clues, all the greatest little slogans. So if there's a tattoo you want to get, I would strongly consider Bam Fam, because I think this is the single greatest thing to remember as you have your 2025 discovery call goals. Use this information from this grid to book your next meeting. Now, here's an example of that. Looking at the business model. We know what their splits are. We know what their caps are. To Diane's great reminder, we've looked at their CDA. We've kind of verified that this commission structure is accurate. The simple question of, would you be open to having another call where I can do a side-by-side comparison with your current business model and that of Real? Now, if they say yes, great. Book the meeting from this meeting, wish them a great time, and go on with your day. Sharran did this whole framework in 15 minutes on stage. We don't have these meetings don't have to be 45 minutes. They don't have to be an hour. You can get very detailed and get right to it. Now, of course, you got to build the relationship and the rapport. I get that. But to get from discovery to your second meeting, it's actually very simple when it's presented like this. Now, another example is you might say, okay, can I show you how our training would provide you with more time and more resources to train your team to get to 500? Would that be beneficial? That's booking that meeting from that meeting to then show them on the next one. One thing language-wise, Sharron really wants us to stop saying, sound good? Does that sound good? So really trying to say things like, if I can figure out a way to get you a better cap structure that you think will help with agent retention, am I inching towards bringing you over to a situation that you would enjoy? Something like that, right? So many different fun ways to play with words. And truly the only way to learn them all is to listen to Sharron's podcast, listen to him present, and collaborate with people like us who get to experience this as much as we can. Now we're at a crucial moment in the process. We just had our discovery call. We booked our next meeting. This is one key thing that the growth team and Sharron really want to press upon us, that you want to share with this prospect, this agent. I will be your single point of contact for anything real moving forward. As you have questions, ideas, shoot me a message and I can get the answers quickly for you. We're really being the quarterback here. Now, I'm sure you can read between the lines here, but we're trying to avoid too much communication 3 months from now. Oh, I've talked to them. That's likely going to happen. It's totally normal for people to go out and talk to a ton of people to figure out this next decision, this crucial next step in their career. But as much as you can guide and curate their next steps by offering to be the quarterback, by using language similar to this, I will be your single point of contact. Does that work for you? You are going to have much more success guiding them and getting them over to Real if that's what works for them. So I just want to really share that crucial process moment with you. Okay, so now we're sitting in the second meeting. This is where it was really fun because, and I think you can still see me on video, but so last night I just took a photo of this, put it into ChatGPT, and I said, can you just put this all on a page? Took about 9 times, and I finally got this that was somewhat legible. But they might say, tell me about Real. Great, let me tell you about Real. And this, from here, you're going to get to the framework around showing the side-by-side or showing them the training, right? But we really want to make sure they know what Real is all about. And there are 3 key components of Real. We have our culture, which again, travel to every Real event you can. That's where you feel it. It's incredible. We have our model and we have the platform. So within each of those 3, we then have 3 supporting bullets. So within the culture, we have our leadership, which are amazing, who are available, and who truly work in service of us. We have a support system. You have your broker team, you have your sponsor network, and just Real. Real's $1 billion company. It's publicly traded. There's a lot of comfort. An objection I used to get when I started at Real, companies come and go. They do, but it's very hard for a company to go when it's publicly traded and it's $1 billion company. I think we're going to be around for a long time. We also have our model. So in the growth model, we have our stock. As we all grow, our stock will continue to grow. And at Real, you can buy that stock. You can get bonused that stock. You can sell houses and get that stock, and you can attract and get that stock. That is an incredible way to build something outside of the economic engine or the income engine of just selling homes. Real also has a model of very transparent fees. No one gets special deals at Real. This is one thing I think is really crucial to know. Like, no one gets a $100,000 check to come over here. Everyone comes to Real the same exact way and has the exact same opportunity. And then we have the legacy with our rev share. It's willable. There's opportunities for you to have retirement. And this is where you can say, is rev share of interest to you? Now, 80% are not interested. So if they say no, that's okay. Let me show you the platform and how some of our training resources or our tech or our AI could really support your growth. If they say yes, move to the wealth plan. The wealth plan is located on Rezen. Guilty, haven't used it. Here's the key thing. When you do use it and you send it to the prospective agent, every time they go back into it, you're going to get a banner notification on your phone. Hey, David Driscoll in Mass just looked at the wealth plan. Now, don't immediately text them and say, hey, you're looking at the wealth plan. But you might say, hey, I was thinking about our conversation and there's a training coming up on how to scale your team. Can I invite you to it? All these little touch points that Real is building in the back end of the platform to help us grow and communicate is incredible. So this is an area I'm 99.9% sure Sharon is probably going to make a video and do his incredible thing with his iPad on how to properly talk about all this. I just want to provide this initial framework and let you know there's so much more to it, but it really helped me with the question of, let me tell you about Real, because I used to just be like, yeah, I mean, the rev share is amazing. There's so much more than rev share. Okay, so
Question real quick, Chris.
yes.
I played around with Wealth Plan. I remember when they launched it, they said there would be a training on it. Do you know if that's come out or you've seen it? I have not seen it. Maybe I just missed it. There's lots of trainings coming out. Does Diane know or someone else know? Has there been like training on really how to use it? Because I played around with it and it's super cool, but I don't really know how to use it.
I don't know.
I don't know either. Josh, hi, nice to see you. I will tell you that after this event, I took this training to heart, as it sounds like Chris definitely did as well. And I had been talking to somebody about Real, and I'll just, if you don't mind, Chris, I'll just share what I said.
Yeah.
And then what I did with the wealth plan, because I've never used it. And I've been with Real 4 years. I've not used it.
Yeah.
And so I said, would it be helpful? So this was after I said my event in Dallas just ended. They're rolling around the decision of making a move. And I said, what is the part of Real that is most attractive to you? Is it the model, the culture, or the systems?
Ooh.
And she wrote the model. So then I wrote, would it be helpful for me to show you a customized wealth plan or a side-by-side comparison? And
Really?
she said, probably the wealth plan.
Okay.
And then I said, oh shit, I better figure out how to do this. Okay. So I wrote, I said, and so then I opened the wealth plan. I read my notes from Sharon from being at this event, which wasn't a tutorial really at all. And I said, can you tell me the number of transactions you'll do this year, your average price point, and your average commission? Because when I opened the wealth plan, I realized I needed those numbers.
Yep.
She gave me those numbers. I said, great, stay tuned. And then I said, did you get the wealth plan I sent you? So I went into the wealth plan, and to your point, Chris, I can go into the wealth plan and it pulls up. This is the only person I've ever sent one to.
Yeah.
And it does show me, I can view my dashboard and it shows me if she opened it and when. It says that she opened it 6 times. Most recently on March 6th.
Yep.
And anyway, so it was pretty easy. I'm going to tell you, like I put it in and then I hit send and then they get to play with it. Right. So
Yeah.
I felt like I was kind of safe. I really didn't have to know a lot.
Yeah.
Maybe if she was sitting next to me, I needed to be a little bit more proficient and understand it. So that's a long answer to your question.
And I think we can definitely follow up on that, Josh. And maybe that's like, I'm going to book a meeting from this meeting and say, Josh, you and I are going to learn that wealth plan together. Okay. Bam, bam. Awesome. So my takeaway number 7 is here. And I keep saying this, but we are more than just rev share. And I believe this visual framework really helped me get to that point. Working in threes is just really satisfying to me. And Sharon has helped with this graphic. So I want to get to some pro tips at this stage. So just to recap, we've sent some emails, maybe to some agents we've worked with. We've been DMing people. We've been commenting and liking their content. Maybe they've asked what's Real like, or, hey, I'd like to take you to coffee. Maybe you've asked. You've had the discovery call framework. You bam-fammed them, and then you told them all about Real. And then you want to segue that into either you could do the side-by-side. Maybe it's the wealth plan. But here are some pro tips at this stage. Start a shared Google Doc with that prospect where all your meeting notes will live. This way, if they have questions, oh, what did Chris say? Oh, what was that Diane had mentioned? If it all lives in that doc, it's all there for them. I don't know if other agents are doing that at their companies, but this is just a way for you to ensure that if they need to revisit anything, you've done an incredible job of quarterbacking the plays throughout that whole document. I love this idea. I think it's also just a really good one for clients. Invite the agent to Real Academy event to experience it firsthand. Sharon shared that a best practice here is to reach out to the host of the Real Academy and say, hey, I've got a great agent who's thinking about Real. Would it be okay if I invited them? I think it's really important in those settings that the agent knows if there are people outside of Real attending those meetings. But I think our Real Academy is filled with everything. So depending on what you find in that discovery call framework, there's definitely a Real Academy course that is going to touch on any one of those challenges or opportunities. Utilize the wealth plan, as we just talked about. And here's a really important takeaway: engage growth at realbrokerage.com and be a part of every step. It's really crucial to know we're never handing things off. We're never saying, hey, broker, can you call so-and-so? They're interested in Real. We're never emailing Sharon and saying, hey, Sharon, can you set up a call with David Driscoll? He's interested in Real. We are booking these meetings. I had one with Sharon recently to bring someone over. I provided him with a list of notes where I'm at with this person, what their pain points were, and where I thought Real was an opportunity. I eventually got that meeting with Sharon and that person. It was then my responsibility to connect that person with the growth team and be on that call to go through how it's going to work for their team. So everything we're doing is we are a step in the process, and it's super important because we've already asked them, can I be your single point of contact? So we have to live that, and we have to guide them through. It is going to extremely help with onboarding. It also helps us learn, because I onboarded 3 years ago. Everything has changed. And I think one of my notes coming out of Dallas is I would like a bit more training on when someone signs up today, what are the exact steps they get from the email notification, from the login instructions to our platform, et cetera, just so we know exactly where that is. For the most part, it's extremely streamlined and easy, but I still would like to know. So we have that asset. Yeah. If you're talking to a team at realbrokerage.com is great. Jump in there.
Chris, yeah, so onboarded just under 2 months ago, and it was so easy. It was the easiest thing ever compared to where I was. EXP was at 5 years ago. It was night and day, and just knowing little things, what I wrote down just after the fact. All right, I need to, like, if I'm going to speak to a newer agent coming in, it's like, hey, have all these ducks in a row before you join, and then everything's just going to be smooth sailing. But yeah, having that kind of checklist is going to be perfect for people. That's
great. And thank you for providing the proof. That's amazing. So happy you're here, and great to know that it was a streamlined process for you, Craig. The last bullet, if you're talking with a team, there's a little bit of a different process. There's so much more information for Real to get from that team in their process. So there's a whole group called teams at realbrokerage.com. Work with them as well. Underutilized attraction resources for you. My 9th takeaway, we are been told we're getting new materials April 2025. That's going to include a brand new slide deck. They kind of previewed it in Dallas. It was much more on brand and beautiful. It's going to replace the current 12-page one that I'm sure most of you have or have gotten. Utilizing the growth team. So Real has corporate employees whose job is to support us in our agent growth. There was one gentleman who talks to like 30 agents a day. And so these are great resources we have to understand where people are at, which franchises might be having more conversations than others. I think they highlighted like Century 21 is a big one that has franchise fees that they're having a lot of conversations with. And then back to the list here, curated training invites, the investor deck. So if you go to onereal.com, scroll all the way down to the bottom on the right, you'll see investors. This is a great way just to get the current financial landscape of our company. You might have conversations with people in other companies, and they might throw out false information or old information. Oh, you're not profitable. Oh, you have too much debt. We don't have any debt. We just announced it for our Q4 results, but this is a great area for you to understand and share with people. This is where investors go to look, is this a company I want to invest in? So you have that resource available to you. Doing live demos of the platform and showing the math of the side-by-side. That is a skill. I think it takes art. Real doesn't have like a template for you to use. I talked to a lot of agents. They've all kind of built their own. I think understandably, Real doesn't want to hold the responsibility of that document as things shift and change, but it's very easy to break it down on a spreadsheet in terms of what they're coming from and what they could come to if they went to Real. All right, we are nearing the end here before we kind of open it up for conversation, but I left this event in Dallas realizing the incredible opportunity that I have to not only grow my network, but the opportunity I have to share what I've learned with folks like you and the agents below me in the spirit of One Real, in the spirit of not one of us is smarter than all of us. I just want to put the question out to you, which you may have heard many times before. If not you, then who? And if not now, when? You're all going to leave this hopefully with a goal of attraction for 2025. You can privately DM me. I'm going to hold you accountable. I've put mine out there, 250 before the end of the year. Through all these conversations, you may find resistance, and Sharran breaks down why in these 3 easy bullets. Either your value prop is not good enough, your presentation is not good enough, or your brand is not good enough. Now, what's amazing is we can all work together, help each other out to work on all 3 of these. And hopefully some of these notes, just scratching the surface in about 45 minutes, gives you a clear idea of the areas where you need to improve your presentation or where you saw value prop that you didn't even realize, and other ways of how you can start to build your brand through a little bit of social media tips I've provided throughout in terms of how you engage and how you feed the algorithm. So I hope you will take all of this. I hope we continue to collaborate. I hope we all continue to grow. And I just want to revisit Chris Davis before Dallas, did everything organically. He was focused on selling homes, didn't want to be a recruiter, kind of wanted to keep this thing secret. He would get giddy when Sharran shared his stories. And Chris Davis after Dallas is now organically and boosting his growth through Instagram and his content. I'm still focused on selling homes. I am now hyper-focused on agent conversations. I want to tell the world about this opportunity we have because it is incredible. I love selling homes, and if I can do that and have other income opportunities for my family and my legacy, hands down, I am going to do that all day. And 100%, I still get giddy when Sharran shares my stories. So with that, I want to say thank you. I hope you all will consider coming to Rise in Orlando in November. Again, the energy that Sharran and Tamir and all the growth leaders at Real put out for these events is incredible. And it's something that I can only tell you how amazing it is until you actually go and feel it. So look at that. I kept it under 45 minutes. I know you all might have places to be, but I am free until 10:15 to stay on, to chat, to go through anything. And again, I know we're all super busy, and the fact that you spent some time here this morning, I am incredibly grateful. I'm going to stop the recording and then we can open it up. I will post this probably on WorkVivo, but if you have other people that this would help in your network, let's continue to grow. And this is an asset I want you to be able to have. So thank you.
Thank you for doing this, Chris. This is excellent.